I wrote a little song to remind you Choice Hotels get you more of the experiences you value. The Cambria Hotel's got it all. A rooftop bar, have a ball. Cocktails up here feel just right. Is Cambria amazing? Alright. Bring a date, your team, or even your mom. Book direct at choicehotels.com. See you on the roof.
Badass of the Week is produced by High Five Content and $7 Productions. January 1776. The frozen wilderness of upstate New York is a howling, sub-zero expanse of blinding snow and ice. Trudging through the drifts is a staggering, miles-long convoy of 59 massive iron and bronze cannons. This is 60 tons of raw artillery, loaded onto heavy, custom-built wooden sleds and dragged by 80 teams of exhausted, shivering oxen. At the front of this impossible parade is Henry Knox. Henry is only 25 years old. He isn't a seasoned military general. He is a bookstore owner from Boston who had never seen a day of combat before all of this started. Everything he knows about military logistics, engineering, and artillery management comes from books he read under an oil lamp in his shop. Now he must use that knowledge to do what the world says is physically impossible. The stakes couldn't be higher. Right now, George Washington's army is trapped outside Boston with almost no gunpowder or heavy artillery. If Knox can't drag 60 cannons 300 miles over frozen lakes and across the treacherous, snow-choked Berkshire Mountains, the British are going to march out of Boston and crush the rebellion in its infancy. The American Revolution hangs on a bookstore clerk's ability to deliver a miracle. The ice of the frozen Hudson River groans beneath the weight of a 2,000-pound brass 24-pounder cannon. Suddenly, a sound like a pistol shot echoes through the winter air. Crack. The ice begins to splinter. The freezing river water bubbles up through the fissures, and the heavy sled begins to tilt into the dark abyss. Knox doesn't panic. He orders his men into the freezing slush, rigging ropes and anchors, using book-learned geometry and pure American grit to haul that massive weapon back from the brink of disaster. He has 300 miles of ice, mud, and mountain ahead of him, and he isn't planning on leaving a single gun behind. This is Henry Knox, and he is about to write the most badass logistics chapter in American history. Hello, and welcome back to Badass of the Week, the show where we tell the badass history of badasses. My name is Ben Thompson, and I am joined today by producer / co-host Andrew Jacobs. Andrew, welcome back. Happy 4th of July. I know this is airing after the 4th, but we are recording it before. So happy 4th to you.
Yeah, thank you. It's a big one, right?
Yes, 250. I've seen it written. I have never tried to pronounce it or heard it spoken. The sesquicentennial, something like that.
That all sounds right to me.
There's a number for the 250th of something, and it's impossible to pronounce.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah, but 250, not bad.
250, yeah. As of the time of this recording, we are still here. The country is still around.
We're doing it. We're making it happen.
We're doing it. And we figured that for this episode, we could do something fun. We could talk about an American hero from the very beginning, a Revolutionary War hero, a founding father, a guy who was a bookstore owner that ended up becoming a Secretary of War. And he might not have his name on his face on money or his name on the Declaration of Independence, but he's a very valuable component to American independence. And, he ends up being really, really critical in a number of major battles and engagements throughout the war from beginning to end.
Now, to be clear, because we have not revealed this person's name, although everyone probably knows because they saw the title of the episode. But he doesn't have his face on money, but he's got his name. His name is definitely associated with money.
That is true. So we're going to talk today about Henry Knox. And Henry Knox is the guy who gives his name to Fort Knox, which is where the Federal Gold Reserve is. If you've seen Goldfinger, you've seen Fort Knox. And he's an interesting guy. He is not a Peter Francisco kind of guy who is going to slice his way through hordes of enemies with a broadsword. But, as much as we love dudes just smashing guys with axes and hammers and just machine gunning their way through the enemy, there is a famous saying among military professionals, and the saying goes, amateurs talk about tactics, but professionals study logistics. And Henry Knox is the guy who kind of invented logistics. And he's, the father of American military logistics.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I tell my kids. I'm like, listen, kids, you're amateurs. Tactics, come on. Logistics.
Logistics, yes. That's where it's at.
They're like, but Paw Patrol.
Paw Patrol, yes. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to talk about Henry Knox, the bookseller who turned artillery general, who literally dragged the weapons of American independence into existence. So
awesome.
Let's take a really quick break. And when we get back, we're going to tell the story. All right, welcome back to the show. Andrew, we are doing something a little different with the podcast. We should probably mention that before we get going too far.
Yeah. For those people out there who have been just dying to see what we look like.
I apologize in advance.
They really, they've been wondering, and they just want to take in these beautiful visages. We're video. We're on video now. So
Yes.
You can catch the video version of this on YouTube, Spotify, pretty soon Apple. But for those of you who just like the storytelling and want nothing to do with looking at us.
Don't have to look at us.
And I totally get that. You could still listen to just the audio.
Yes. So we'll probably be doing some clips and stuff as well. So yeah. We're doing video now, and that's fun and weird. And I don't know where to look most of the time. So
what do I do with my eyes? What do I do with my eyes?
What do I do with my hands? Do I move my hands? I don't know. So we'll figure it all out. We're working on it. It's all a work in progress. Nobody here has any idea what they're doing. So stay confident that is going to continue. Okay. Anyway, let's talk about a guy who did know what he was doing. Let's talk about Henry Knox. So Henry Knox is born in 1750, and he doesn't have this like big hero's journey beginning. He's from a poor family. His father was a sailor, but he was sailing out in the Caribbean and he dies. It's one of those things, we talked about this on a different episode, where this guy just people at this time, they just went out on a ship because they worked on a ship and then they never came back. And that happens to Knox's dad. He sails away and he dies and never returns. Knox
that's like the equivalent of like going out for a smoke.
I guess. Yeah. I'm going to go to St. Eustace for the weekend. And then, 6 months later, he's just dead on a boat somewhere. So, okay. He dies in the Caribbean. Henry's family's broke. So he does, the only thing he gets an apprenticeship working as a bookbinder. Back in the old days when people read books, physical books. They used to have these things called books, and they were like this physical thing that you could hold, and it wasn't just on your Kindle.
Sounds heavy.
It's heavy, yeah. And so he starts working as a bookbinder. He's a big guy, though. And growing up, he'll end up being like 6'3", 250. He gains a lot of weight before the end of the war. But at the beginning of the war, the American Revolution, he's a big, strong, tough guy. And he's doing his bookbinding apprenticeship, but he's also getting into a lot of trouble. He gets into these street fights in Boston because Boston's a pretty rough place to be in the 1760s, 1770s. He gets into street fights. He solves a lot of problems by beating people up. He and he loves book binding. And when he's binding these books, he's reading them because he's like a voracious reader and he's just obsessed with all things related to books. Okay, so Knox is doing this. He apprentices. He eventually starts working as a clerk at a bookstore. He saves up a bunch of money. And by age 21, he's able to leverage this hustle into opening up his own bookstore.
Damn.
He opened, 21.
That's like, yeah, most 21-year-olds, these days are like just like getting drunk and living in their mom's basement. Sorry, no, that's a.
Yeah, no, I feel it though. Like I feel sometimes I'll feel like, I'll have friends of mine will be like, well, I don't know if I'm really ready for any responsibility. I'm just like a young guy, I was like, dude, you're like 35. Like most people have like fought in wars and like Alexander the Great conquered the world by that time, right?
Just do better.
Yeah, Mozart had written like eight operas and died, I think.
Yeah, although just for the late bloomers, there are a lot of great people who did a lot of great things in their 40s and their 50s before doing not a lot else. So there's still time out there for you.
That's true. When Julius Caesar turned 33, which was the age Alexander the Great was when he died, when Julius Caesar turned 33, he fell down at the feet of a statue of Alexander and started crying because he was like, I've wasted my life. I don't know what I'm going to do. He didn't get none of his big stuff happened until he was in his 40s.
Yeah, there you go.
So
still time.
Okay. So for Knox, he's 21 and he's got his own bookshop. It's called the London Bookstore. And it's like a high-end bookshop. They sell all manner of books, but they also sell other stuff like coffee and sugar, writing quills. It's basically like a Crate and Barrel meets like a Starbucks in a nice part of town.
Yeah. Want to grab a book and grab some sugar. I mean, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Multi-purpose
shop. It's at this bookstore where he meets this woman that comes in. Her name is Lucy Flucker. Lucy Flucker. Maybe restart that.
Either way, that is a very that's a very British colonial like name.
Yes, it's a name I will probably be repeating quite often throughout this episode. Lucy Flucker shows up and she is like, Henry Knox is a big, strong dude, but he's nice. He's like outgoing. He's gregarious. People like him. He's running the bookstore. People are coming there because he's a charismatic guy and they want to buy his books from him. Lucy comes in and she falls in love with him. She's also like a big person, big personality, outgoing. They get along great. They fall in love and they decide like they're gonna get married. Now, the problem here is that Lucy's father is Thomas Flucker, and Thomas Flucker is the royal secretary for the province of Massachusetts. So he is like the pinnacle of loyalist elite in the colonies. He is a British agent, a British officer. And
Sir Flucker?
Sir Thomas Flucker, yeah.
Yeah.
And I just keep thinking of Meet the Parents every time I read about this. Like, it's just a game, Fokker.
The Fluckers.
So the Flucker family views Henry Knox as this like poor common shopkeeper, bookbinder, 20-year-old, like whatever. He's
kid didn't start his own business till he was 21. Come on.
Well, it's funny, right? Because Knox kind of epitomizes the quote American dream, right? He's this guy who kind of comes from nothing, learns this trade, is able to buy his own bookstore, able to make a name for himself and become something out of nothing. But the Fluckers are kind of the British dream, which is you just get born into a rich family with a name and an estate, and you marry other people who are rich and noble, and you don't talk to the commons.
The difference of maintaining versus making it, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So the Fluckers are mad that Knox gets married to Lucy, but Lucy's awesome. And like these guys, they're this very happy couple and they're getting along really well. But this also kind of epitomizes what's going on in the city at the time. Boston, 1773 is a powder keg, right? You're starting to there's a lot of unrest. You have You have Sam Adams writing his Sons of Liberty pamphlets. You have the Boston Tea Party, you have the Boston Massacre. The British start sending soldiers and troops to the colonies to kind of enforce order in Boston, because this is kind of the hotbed of the revolution. A lot of the revolutionary stuff is coming here. And a lot of it is passing through Knox's bookstore. Now, in later years, there was a lot of propaganda that, he was like distributing stuff. He probably wasn't. He did have books on everything from like, military strategy and engineering and things like that. But he was mostly, his clientele was mostly wealthy people who go to fancy coffee shops and bookstores.
People who knew how to read in the 1770s.
Right.
Let's be clear.
They're British officers and they're wealthy loyalists. And they offer at one point, the Fluckers or somebody in town offers Knox a commission in the British military. They're trying to kind of legitimize him, and they're like, "Hey, why don't you just take this commission?" They buy him. You can buy your way into being an officer in the British Army at this time. They buy it for him, and he says, "No, I don't want it." That makes Lucy's parents insanely angry. But what he does instead is he co-founds the Boston Grenadier Corps, which is like a local militia unit. Now, in theory, these guys are British soldiers because they're going to help England. They're local guys from Boston. They have these really fancy uniforms. They look legit. They train. He's got his bookstore and he's reading a lot of books on military tactics. He's meeting a lot of British officers and talking to them about the army and stuff. He's not trained in the army, but he's reading about this stuff. And he starts kind of drilling the Boston Grenadier Corps to look and act like real soldiers. And when the British Army shows up to kind of occupy Boston, they're pretty impressed by these guys. Great. That's kind of the beginning of his involvement in what will become the American Revolution. So April 1775, we get the shot heard around the world. We get the battles of Lexington and Concord. We get an escalation from tax riot into shooting war.
Yeah.
And the British start to they're going to clamp down. They're going to install military dictate. They're going to install martial law over Boston. And Knox, he's sympathetic to the patriot cause, and people know that. And so he's just like, I got to get out of here. So he goes to Lucy at night, and everything's on fire. There's news of war. They're shooting. People are moving around. And he goes to her and he's like, we got to go. He's like, I know your family's here and they're wealthy and they're part of this this elite. He's like, but I got to go and I want you to come with me. And so bold move. Yeah. She sews his sword into her dress and they sneak out. So they can't be, when they get caught on the way out, when they're getting inspected, there's checkpoints and stuff. So they're inspecting him on his way out. All he's got is a wagon full of books and him and his wife. And they're not going to frisk his wife to see if she's hiding a sword in her dress, but she is.
I just we got to go. We got to get out of here. Things are popping off. Hold on. Let me sew your sword into my dress. They sit there and she sews,
Yeah.
Okay.
I do feel there's something to be said here, Andrew, that this would have been an awkward Thanksgiving dinner with the in-laws.
Yeah. Yeah. One of those where you don't talk politics.
Yeah, we don't talk politics at Thanksgiving. Yep.
See, it goes way back.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's a very time-honored American tradition.
Yeah.
So he gets out of town and there is, the Americans are kind of forming up in the hills overlooking Boston. And this is not a professional army. This is just angry farmers and shopkeepers and just guerrilla soldiers. This is just dudes who have guns and decided they want to overthrow the government. And they're in the mountains here. And the British Army is in the city. And the British Army is going to come up here and just kill all these guys. And that's going to be the end of it. It's going to be the end of the American Revolution. General, Howe is going to march his redcoats up here and he's going to blast everybody. And that's it.
Yeah.
Henry Knox shows up at this camp and he's like, what are you guys going to do for your military defenses? What are you going to do for your cannon entrenchments? What are you going to do for your whatever? And they're just like, what are you talking about? Entrenchments? What do you mean? What's that? What's battlements?
Yeah.
And then he's got his wagon with him and he pulls out a book out of his wagon and he's like, look, in this book, it says like, here's a picture of what we're supposed to be making right now. So let's make this. There's instructions in the book on how to do it and a little diagram. It's like he goes into the forest with like an army field manual.
Yeah.
And it's like, we should do some of this stuff.
Someone's like, how do we fight this war? And he's like, hold on, let me read the instructions.
Yeah. Let me read
pretty
the
much.
manual.
Okay.
So that's what he's doing. He's using his books as basically an instruction manual on how to fight this war. And they dig trenches, they dig defenses. They don't have hardly anything for artillery, but they dig emplacements. And then when the British attack them at the Battle of Bunker Hill, the Americans are able to fight them from a fixed defensive position, which is something that the British weren't expecting. They were just expecting to kind of march up the hill, scare the Americans away, bayonet a few of them and call it a day. But Bunker Hill is kind of a turning point in the war because when the British attack, the Americans are able to hold them back up until the Americans run out of bullets. Eventually they run out of powder and ammo and they have to run for it. It's a defeat for the colonies. It's a defeat for the Americans, but they weren't just completely massacred. It's kind of like, to put it in World Cup terms, it's like we were expected to lose like 6-0 and we lost like 3-2.
Yeah.
I was like, that wasn't too bad.
A Pyrrhic victory.
Yes, exactly. And a lot of that's because of him and his logistical help there. Now,
hold on though, and maybe I'm jumping out of order but isn't there a whole thing about him like getting a bunch of cannons and?
Yes, that's coming.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So what happens here is, the American Revolution starts to get a little bit more organized and they send a commander up here. And if you listen to the George Washington episode, Henry Knox's story is going to be pretty closely entwined with George Washington's. But George Washington shows up, and George Washington at this point is one of the only patriots who has any idea how to run an army. He shows up and he's like, who did this? Who set this up? And everybody's like, oh, it's Knox. Knox is like 25.
Someone's like, that nerd over there.
That nerd with those nerdy books. Anytime you see a picture of him, he's got these little glasses, and you're like... Interestingly, when you see pictures of him, he's usually drawn as like a heavier set guy. And he's got these little glasses and he's always got his hand wrapped in a bandana. And his hand's wrapped in a bandana because in 1775, he went on a hunting trip. And in the shotgun he was using like blew up in his hands and took 2 of his fingers off. So he was missing 2 fingers from his hand, I think his left hand. And he always would wrap it in a sash. So that, it was kind of wild because at the time it got blown, his 2 fingers got blown off. And this is 1775. He went to like a medical tent and the dude just like stitched the hole up. And that was it. And like,
I feel like back then you probably get gangrene and then you'd lose your arm and then you'd die or something.
Yeah, that's totally what would have normally happened. But he didn't get gangrene and die, which is just good for the Continental Army.
Worked out.
But yeah, that's it. He was just like, I'll just stitch him up for you.
Yeah.
God,
all right.
it's brutal. You want to use a little antiseptic or some soap and water, maybe?
Just close the hole, man. Just patch,
Okay. So Washington's like, who sets all this stuff up? So they're like, oh, it's that nerd over there. And he's like, okay, cool. So he goes over to Knox and is like, they're talking for a little bit. And it's around this time that, the shooting war has started. There's the Battle of Bunker Hill. And there's a weird little side story here. In the mountains of upstate New York, there was a British fort called Fort Ticonderoga. And it was this old, beat up, dilapidated fort. It was built in the olden days for like the British to defend against the French, but the French have long gone. And this fort's just kind of sitting there, but it has 60 cannons in it. And it had a very small detachment of guards. And so one night when the shooting starts, these 2 patriot heroes, Ethan Allen and good friend of the podcast, Benedict Arnold, they just take a small group of dudes and they go and they knock on the door of the fort. And the fort's like, a captain opens the door basically in his underwear. And they're like, hey, we're taking over this fort. There's like 10 guards there and they've got maybe 30 militiamen. And they're like, yes, fort's ours now. Get out of here. And then the British are like, okay. And they just go home. Now we got this fort with 60 cannons at the top of this mountain peak overlooking nothing, pointing in the wrong direction. And and so Washington, when he's taking over, one of the big problems he's having is what we're talking about, logistics, right? He doesn't have enough men. He doesn't have enough bullets. He doesn't have enough horses. He doesn't have oxes. He doesn't have things that you need to run an army in 1775. And all of his sub-commanders are coming to him like, we need bullets, we need men, we need this, I need this. I don't have enough food for my guys. I can't pay my soldiers. I can't do this. And they're like coming to him like, I need this, I need this, I need this, I need this. Henry Knox comes up to George Washington and he says, I'm going to go get those cannons. Is that cool?
I'm sure Washington's like, thank God.
God, somebody.
Yeah.
Washington's like, I don't really think you can get those cannons because there's 60 cannons, but they're up in the top of the mountains. There's not a road. There's not a paved road there. There's this abandoned ancient fort with these ancient guns.
And cannons are notoriously light and easy to transport, correct?
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Just
and,
make sure.
Knox is like, no, I think I can go get them. He's like, Knox is like, but I need some oxes. And Washington's like, we don't have any oxes. He's like, well, how about horses? We got a couple horses. How about dudes? We don't have any dudes. All right, I'll make it work.
Can do attitude.
That's a can do attitude.
There you go.
So Henry Knox goes up there. He's got a little bit of money. He's got a few guys. He's got some horses. And he goes up into upstate New York to Fort Ticonderoga. And he finds these 60 cannons. And his job is to drag them 300 miles in the winter through the mud and the snow. There's a blizzard that hits. He heads up there, and remember, this guy he might have read a bunch of books on how to drag a cannon, but he's never actually dragged a cannon. He's never actually seen a cannon in real life, except for maybe the British ones that are in the city. He goes up there and he takes charge of what he calls the noble train of artillery. And he decides like, all right, I'm gonna load all these up. It's December 1775. Mortars, howitzers, cannons. Each of them weighs 5,000 pounds, and he has to drag them around 300 miles through roads that have not been maintained in years. Roads that he has never traveled, so he's never been this way, doesn't know much about guns, no specialized equipment. Everything's got to be improvised. He builds these big, giant, reinforced wooden sleds to drag them. He recruits horses. He starts going around to so he starts dragging these cannons out. And he decides he's going to go to like dudes in the neighborhood, like just go around knocking on doors and be like, "Hey, I got to drag this cannon like through your like yard. Can you just come out and help us, please?"
Yeah. All right.
And so he's just getting guys from the neighborhood. He'll just go down to like the tavern and in town and be like, "Hey, can you guys help me drag these cannons through town? I've got a bunch of guys. I got 60 cannons parked outside. Can you just help me carry them through the?"
Just a little help. It's like asking your friend to move you.
Yes.
Yes, like, exactly. I'll get you some pizza and some beer.
Pizza and beer.
Yeah.
Next round's on me if you guys help me move these 60 cannons through your county.
Just lift with your knees, not your back.
So he has to cross the Hudson 3 times, and the Hudson is frozen. But at one of the points, the Hudson is not frozen enough to bear the weight of 5,000 pounds of cannon times 60. So they have to get water and throw water onto the frozen Hudson to make the ice thick enough to accept the weight so they can cross it. Jesus. And they're doing this wearing wool uniforms in the snow in a blizzard in December in upstate New York.
Jeez. So this sounds like this. There should be some sort of like Iron Man competition based on this like trek.
There is.
Oh,
so
hey.
For the 250th anniversary, they are going to run a race. They're going to run an ultra marathon, these 300 miles.
But are they going to make them do it in the winter with dragging a cannon? Because like that's the deal.
That's the deal. Yeah, you got to. So he has to like this 80 yoke of oxen, which is 80 times 2 oxen. or dragging them from the top of the mountains. They drag them down the mountains. They cross the Hudson 3 times. They have to make like a hard eastward turn. Then they've got to drag them up and over and down the Berkshire Mountains, which he does. And through the mud, using 1775 technology, drags these guns. It takes a month. And there's times when like the cannon will fall off of the wagon and break through the ice and sink to the bottom of the frozen river. And he's got to like organize a team to like fish it out of the river because you can't leave it there. He needs it. We need those guns.
I would have. You got 59 other ones. Come on. Like, I don't know.
Yes. There's a weird thing to this. So he never mentions losing a gun. Some of them fall and he brings them back. By the time he arrives at the heights, at the Dorchester Heights overlooking Boston, he marks in his notes that he has 59 guns. Now, the last inventory taken at Fort Ticonderoga said there was 60 guns. So either those lazy guys who were just garrisoning it rounded up or miscounted, or like one of them disappeared along the way. It's one of the great mysteries of American history. But
it's in one of those dudes' backyards. He's just like, like snuck it off while they were.
Like how the movers steal your stuff when you're trying to...
Yeah. It's like one for you, one for me.
Oh, this cannon. Oh man, you guys left the cannon in my yard.
This is gonna go great in my living room.
Are you guys gonna come back and get this?
Yeah.
So March 4th, the British commander, General William Howe, goes to sleep in Boston. They've garrisoned Boston. They have ships in the harbor. They have an army in the city. They're getting ready to march out and destroy the colonists for good. March 4th, he goes to sleep. March 5th, he wakes up, and the heights surrounding Boston are ringed with 59 cannons dug in emplacements, entrenched military precision. When he wakes up at dawn the next morning, he's got 60 cannons pointing at him. And Howe is remarked to have said, like, when he saw it, he was just like, if you gave me a full regiment of professional artillerists, I couldn't have done this in a month. How did they do this overnight? And now he's got two choices. He can either attack or he can let these 60 guns, the Americans don't actually have, they haven't quite gotten enough ammunition to blow all of the British army there to pieces, but you got to respect that they could. So they leave. They abandon Boston, and it's like the first major victory of the American Revolution.
Hell yeah.
Pretty cool.
Pretty cool.
So Washington's impressed. He makes him a colonel. He makes Knox a colonel, makes him commander of the artillery for the Continental Army. The British come back. They attack New York. The next few months of the war are just, the British show up with 30,000 soldiers in Manhattan. They stomp through New York. They crush the Continental Army everywhere they find it. And Knox's job continues to be moving cannons, but now it's like, let's position the cannons, let's shoot at the British, and let's run away and try not to lose any cannons to get them captured. We only got these 60 guns. It's like Battlestar Galactica. It's like, we got 59 things, and if we can't keep losing them, so we've got to get these out of here before they get captured. So his job becomes moving cannons everywhere, moving cannons into the battle and getting them away while the American army is running away from the British, which we do a lot of in the early parts of this war. Logistics. The British win battle after battle, but they never capture the artillery. And that's going to come into play later. Knox while this is happening, he's on the front lines. So he's got this big booming voice. He's this outgoing, gregarious person in camp. Everybody likes him. He likes to party. He likes to hang out. He's fun. People like to be around him. In battle, he's big and loud. He's 6'3", 250 at a time when the average person is significantly smaller than that. And so he's just this big guy, and he commands this presence. He looks like a guy who's in charge of artillery and hauling cannonballs around and stuff. He comes back again in another amazing logistical way. Andrew, you've seen that painting of George Washington crossing the Delaware, Christmas Eve, where he's going to go kill a bunch of British in their sleep on Christmas.
Of course. I mean,
he's at the front of the boat. He's got the dude, James Madison's there with the flag, and Washington's pointing, standing with his foot on the prow of the ship.
That side of the river.
Go there.
Yeah.
That's the front of the column. If you could have panned that back, you could see at the back of the column are several ships carrying cannons with Henry Knox in them. He is able to, as wild as it was that they were able to ferry soldiers across through these ice floes in the dead of winter in December, Knox is not only in charge of that operation. He doesn't, it's a whole group of people that goes involved with operating that, but Knox is the guy in charge of the logistics of the crossing of the Delaware. And one of the things he crosses is, I think, 3 cannons. And, getting a bunch of soldiers across to attack the Hessians in their base is one thing. But when the Hessians wake up and they realize they're under attack and they look out the window and they see dudes rolling a cannon up the street towards their barracks, that is a whole other level of, level of problems for them. Without those guns, that painting probably doesn't get painted, because that battle is not as significant as it ended up being. The Americans are getting their butts kicked early war. And then this is like one victory that kind of inspires the Patriot cause to continue. Okay. We head on into 1777. The British are still kind of beating up on the Americans. They win at the Battle of Brandywine. Knox is there, but it's a defeat for the Americans. The British are marching towards Philadelphia. Congress is starting to get a little annoyed that the Americans aren't winning battles here. And so they decide they're going to replace Henry Knox as commander of the artillery. They get this French guy. And he is, hang on, his name is Philippe Charles Tronson du Coudray. I can't. Of
course it is.
We need Pat for this, but I can't do that. But he is a professional French artillerist. Okay. He knows what he's doing. He's an aristocrat. He's a nobleman. He comes in. They make him a major general before he even gets on the boat to come to the United States or to the U.S. or to whatever the colonies. And he's going to come in and save the day. He shows up and he meets everybody, and he's like, "Well, yes, I can't do the accent, but he's like, yes, I'm the master of artillery. I'm in charge here. I'll run these things." And everybody hates him. Everybody's like, "What is Knox? Like, we hate this guy." He's the worst. Nobody wants to work with him. Nobody wants to serve with him. But the story does have a happy ending. A few months after arriving in the colonies, this guy falls off his horse and drowns in a river.
Oh.
So Knox is not supplanted.
All right. I mean, he was on our side, so that's sad.
I mean, it does suck for this guy. I shouldn't make light of people drowning in a river, but we'll move on.
Okay.
Okay. The weather gets bad. Things are looking bad. We end up in Valley Forge. And Valley Forge is the winter of our discontent. Everything is hard. Everything's miserable. Knox is there at Valley Forge, and so is his wife, Lucy. He's been sending her letters, and she comes with him to Valley Forge. She ends up getting along really well with Martha Washington. They become like friends for the rest of their lives. And, they are able to kind of make the best of a really bad situation by trying to lighten the spirits of the men. Knox is one of the only guys that's allowed to leave Valley Forge. Most people are kind of stuck there for the winter. He sets up an artillery park where he just starts training guys. He gets the Baron von Steuben shows up to train the army. Knox starts training artillery guys. Like, do these drills, read these books, follow the steps in these books, do what they say all summer. This is your homework for the entire winter, is to read these books and do this stuff. And he starts going around to ask for guns and ammo and money. he goes on this tour of New England to like ask every rich family to like send money and weapons and gear to the patriot cause. But one thing he also does during this time is he's like, look, I'm tired of asking people for money and stuff. We need to set up a factory. We need to set up an armory, a colonial armory. We need to set up a place where we can make bullets and cannons and guns and things. So he finds the site that he thinks is going to be good for this, and he breaks ground. He declares, he starts the Springfield Armory, which is where like basically every rifle from the Civil War was made. Like it's where, this Springfield Armory is still in existence and they still make guns there. It was the first weapons production facility in American history, and Knox built it.
Cool.
Because he was tired of asking people for money and stealing guns and hauling guns through the mountain, through the Berkshires. So, okay, the war continues. It starts to turn better for the Americans. Knox has become so close with Washington that he ends up being on the one of the judges for Major John Andre's trial. When we get into the Benedict Arnold stuff, they hang John Andre as a spy for working with Benedict Arnold, and Knox is a juror on that on that trial. Knox, his job kind of becomes less running around on the battlefield and more making sure different armies have their things that they need. As the Patriot cause grows, we're seeing battles in the north at Saratoga. We're seeing battles in the south. We're seeing battles all over the place. His job is kind of more centralized now, sending weapons and gear to the places that need them so that the war can continue. He kind of gets
he's management now.
He's management now, yeah.
Yeah.
But he'll go back into the field for the Yorktown campaign. The British are holed up on the Yorktown Peninsula in Virginia, and Washington's going to surprise them and lay siege to them. And he's like, in order to do that, I need to bring just like a ton of cannons all the way to the tip of the Yorktown Peninsula. Do I know a guy that has experience with moving lots of cannons a long distance without alerting the enemy to his presence?
I got a guy.
I know a guy.
Yeah.
So Knox's job is again to transport basically the entirety of the Continental artillery to the Yorktown Peninsula to link up with the French and surround the British at Yorktown. And he's there on the front lines. He wrote, "We've had the pleasure of seeing the British run away like devils from our shells."
Like devils. Yeah. Should we take a break, or is that?
Yeah, I guess we should take a break. So he's going to bombard Yorktown, and we know how this goes. Like the British can't fight their way out of Yorktown. They're stuck in this fort. They're pinned in because anytime they try to move out, the artillery is there. The Americans and the French, they're going to bombard this thing. The British surrender, and that is kind of the end of the British Army. That's kind of the last major battle of the American Revolution.
Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert.
Yeah, the Americans win. Lord Cornwallis and the British, their fortifications are demolished, and it's because Knox's artillery, and he's there directing fire, managing the gunpowder. He's personally ensuring that all of his heavy 18-pound cannons are dismantling British ships in the harbor and British fortifications on land. The war ends, and we are going to take a break here, but this is not the end of the story for Henry Knox, because he's going to go on to continue to do crazy things. So let's take a break.
So I jumped the gun on the break.
Yeah. We'll do it now.
Yes.
All right. We will be right back then.
Your team just added its 67th AI tool and also your 67th security blind spot. The good news? The Vanta agent works like a GRC engineer in the background, finding every app your team uses, scoring the risk, and drafting fixes for you. Vanta is the platform used by over 16,000 fast-moving companies like Ramp, Cursor, and Harvey, who are shaping the future with AI and staying ahead of AI risk. Get started at Vanta.com.
Welcome back. the American Revolution is over, but now we have the difficult task of creating an actual country out of this revolution and using a democratic system that's never been tried before.
As you can see, it's all gone super smoothly.
It's going great. Yeah, it's great. Yeah.
No bumps whatsoever.
No bumps in the road. No.
Yeah.
And Knox is picked because he's been this confident of Washington's. Knox is picked to be the first ever Secretary of War, which is a thing we don't have anymore. I think maybe we have it again now, but we didn't have it for a while. We got rid of it, but
it's back.
It's back now.
Yeah.
Great. Amazing. So he's the first Secretary of War, and his job is to create and organize the United States Army, Navy, and Marine Corps.
Easy.
So that's what he does.
Yeah. Okay. Not bad.
Yeah. He decides how we're going to lay out the Army, how we're going to lay out the military. All of those decisions are made by Knox as Secretary of War in the early days of the American government. So he's the father of the American military as we know it.
I'd say he generally did a pretty good job.
Generally did a pretty good job. Yeah. I mean, and he built the armory, he laid out the army. He also, one of the big things that he was dealing with that was kind of frustrating for him as Secretary of War was he passed a law. There's a lot of fighting going on the Western frontier. The British might be gone, but there's a whole bunch of people that live on the Western frontier, and the colonists are at war with them also. And Knox and the War Department Knox is instrumental in getting this law going that says, like, we shouldn't, you can't illegally seize land from the indigenous people that live in these areas. Our country is these things on this map. And unless this tribe or these people agree to give you their land or sell it to you or whatever, you can't just go in there and take it from them.
That's a good deal.
But a lot of people didn't listen to that. And there were a lot of people who were just going out there and stealing and like conquering land. And Knox's job, a big part of his job as Secretary of War, was to try to prevent unauthorized and illegal seizure of native lands by white settlers. And that was a really hard job in 1783.
Yeah.
He gets frustrated with it. He retires in 1794 at the age of 44. That's how old he is when all of this stuff has happened.
It's old.
He and Lucy retire.
That's not that old.
It's not that old.
Done a lot. Not that old.
He's done a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
He is a national hero. And, cabinet member, brigadier general, Continental Army, founder of the American Artillery Corps. He retires. Now, I want to go back to him and Lucy because they've been together. They've been happily married this whole time. Now, remember Lucy's parents. Lucy's parents were, the Fluckers. I'm going to go back to those Fluckers.
Sir Flucker.
Yes.
Yeah.
When Boston fell, the Fluckers fled to England, and Lucy would write them letters and be like, hey, this war sucks, huh? But we could still be friends, right? They never wrote her back. They just completely cut her out of everything. They never talked to her again.
Jeez.
Because she picked her husband over them. And something interesting, though, is that after the war ends, the lands that belonged to loyalists and British who were no longer around, either died or fled back to England, that land gets redistributed because the Fluckers aren't coming back to claim their huge estates. So who does it go to? It goes to their next of kin in the continents, which is Lucy. So Lucy and Henry Knox inherit this monstrous, huge parcel of land in Maine and in Massachusetts. And between their land stuff, they're able to sell some of it. They build this huge party house called Montpelier, and they spend the next decade or so just throwing legendary parties. And Knox at this point is a big guy. He likes to party, he likes to eat, he likes to drink. He's he he goes into his partying with the enthusiasm he brought to the artillery at Yorktown. There's an amazing quote from him. He says, "A man who has hauled the salvation of his country through a blizzard can surely afford to drink the best wine in the world."
I agree. Yes.
Cheers. So their house is just constantly full of like expensive wine, music, food. They're like this super power couple. Everybody loves them. All the like great heroes of the American Revolution, all the founding fathers go there for parties and stuff. And it ends up, they just rock. They just love life and they just rock it for the next 15 years. Amazing. Henry Knox, being a dude who was on a battlefield, basically, he grew up street fighting. He became a bookbinder. He owned his own bookstore. Then he used his knowledge of books. He used his understanding of reading and his love of reading to become like the most badass artillery commander of the American Revolution. He dies in October of 1806 at one of these big parties. He eats he gets a chicken bone stuck in his throat.
And
what a way to go. He doesn't choke to death on it, but like he gets a cut in his throat and it gets gangrene and he dies at 56. So, that's kind of a weird ending for him, but like his wife continues on and she outlives him by 18 years. And they say that like in her later years, she was coming down with dementia and she would just like call for him because she was missing him. And so that's always like a little bit sad ending to like their love story, but I kind of think that's cool. And he doesn't get listed in his lifetime. He was a huge hero. In his lifetime, he was a great war hero. Nowadays, his name doesn't come up quite as much, even though I think he's fascinating. Like you said, Fort Knox is named after him. It was established in 1918 as Camp Knox as a training site for field artillery, because all artillery things in early American history are named
Makes
for this
sense.
guy. Yeah. And it eventually became Fort Knox. And then at some point they moved all the gold there.
Yeah.
His estate, Montpelier, is in Thomaston, Maine. It burned down in 1871, but they built a perfect replica of it in 1929. It's the only Henry Knox museum in the world, but you can go there and you can get a feel for what it's like. There's a good YouTube video. They walk you through it, and it looks like Henry Knox and Lucy Flucker Knox were a fun time.
I'm like, do they have a working bar? Because like that, that would feels like it'd be appropriate.
Yes, it does seem that way. And then, as we said, there was a group of runners, July 2026. They are currently, as we record this, they are participating in a 325-mile ultra relay along the Henry Knox Trail from Fort Ticonderoga to Boston to honor the 250th anniversary of America. And they are traveling on roads that are largely paved, and Knox was dragging cannons through a blizzard on roads that were not. So, like you said, this is the stay hydrated version of that. But
yeah, and I assume they're not relaying with cannons either.
Yes, they're probably not. It's probably not a cannon relay.
Not quite. Not the real thing.
No, I mean, you gotta run 325 miles.
Come on, guys.
Some sort of participation trophy or something. Yeah. Finisher, thumbs up.
Yeah.
The cannon.
Yeah, little
toy cannon. Yeah, and then that's Henry Knox. He was the founding father. He was the father of artillery. He used his book learning nerd stuff to help win the American Revolution.
I kind of love it. It's sort of like these like inauspicious beginnings books, and it's just like you always, like you said, Peter Francisco is just like this guy who's like a giant and just used his giant hulking mass to beat people, and not Henry Knox just used his old noggin.
Yeah. And he was a big giant guy. He probably could beat you up in a fight.
Probably.
He was good at fist fighting, but he didn't. That's not how he became well known. He was the giant strong man who was like, I think I have a book for that.
Yeah. Yeah. And my favorite part is that after he did all that, he just partied. That's so great. You never get to hear that. So
I definitely remember him. Like, I can definitely picture this guy sitting there and somebody being like, we got another problem with the Indian territories. And he's just like, I'm out. I'm out of here. I'm not dealing with this anymore. I'm going to go party. I'm going home to my wife and I'm going to open a bottle of wine.
That's amazing.
Yes. So that is our story. I guess, Andrew, we have to talk about what's the takeaway from the story of Henry Knox here. What's the badass lesson we can learn from this founding father? It's obviously
a little bit of brains over brawn. I think that's definitely that. And then I think, just enjoy life while you can.
Right. Yeah. I love that because it doesn't matter how tough you are. If doesn't matter how good you are at shooting your cannons. If you don't have any cannons at the battle, you're going to lose it. Yeah. Better to show up with a lot of cannons than figure out how to use them.
Yeah. But, happy 4th of July. Happy America 250th birthday. I think I like it. Henry Knox is one of those guys that helped do it.
Yes. And so, Andrew, thanks for helping me tell the story. And thanks to all you out there for listening to it. We do this every week. If you enjoyed this and you want to hear more about badass nerds from history, you know where to find us.
Stay badass.
Badass of the Week is produced by High Five Content and $7 Productions. Executive producers are Dwayne Johnson, Danny Garcia, Andrew Jacobs, Hiram Garcia, Brian Gewirtz, Frankie Chaparino, and of course, me, Ben Thompson. Writing is by me and my semi-regular but always awesome co-host, Dr. Patricia Larish. Story editing by Ian Jacobs. Our mixing, music, and sound design is done by the incomparable Jude Brewer. Production support by Jean McHale-Waite. Badass of the Week is based on my website, badassoftheweek.com, where you can read all sorts of stories about other badasses. If you want to reach out with questions or ideas, you can email us at badasspodcast@badassoftheweek.com. If you like this podcast, please subscribe, follow, listen, tell your friends, and tell your enemies. And please leave us a review. If you want to support Badass of the Week, please check out our Patreon page. We'll be back next week with another one.
Hey, it's Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. Now, I was looking for fun ways to tell you that Mint's offer of unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month is back. So I thought it would be fun if we made $15 bills. But it turns out that's very illegal. So there goes my big idea for the commercial. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3 months, $90 for 6 months, or $180 for 12-month plan required. $15 per month equivalent. Taxes and fees extra. Initial plan term only. Greater than 50 gigabytes may slow when network is busy. See terms.